everyone. I am Dana Abercrombie, your host over at thecoalition.com, and welcome to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier spoiler review show. I am joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good, Dana. What's up, listeners and viewers?
Hello, listeners and viewers. Today was episode 3, the Power Broker episode, which people don't know. If you do know, yay. If you don't know, Power Broker is a character from Jessica Jones.
Oh, okay.
He's a character from Jessica Jones. He was slightly referenced in that series, and it's really nice to know that Kevin Feige did say that he loved everything that they was doing with the other shows, except for Iron Fist. He never mentioned Iron Fist. The shade.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. So we're gonna probably end up having some of the Netflix MCU shows cross over. When we don't know, but it seems like it might be in this phase. So, like I said, this was the episode 3 Power Broker episode. We're at the halfway point. We're 50% there, and I just wanted more and more. But like I said, this felt like it was a really big transition. This scene, we got the entertainment. We still got more of the story to tell. We got a lot more of the story. And we got a lot of surprises. We got Emily Van Camp's Sharon Carter. Agent 13 was in there. We got Daniel Bruhl's Zemo. He got his whole nice, wonderful story. We also had Ao, who people thought was Okao. Remember? Okay, so there's the from Wakanda.
Yeah.
So Ao from Wakanda, which people confused for being the other character. It's not. And we also got some mentions of, I'm going to butcher this, but Erskine, who was Abraham Erskine, which I'm sure I'm butchered that. That is from Winter Soldier. He is the scientist who created the original super soldier serum. So we got a lot. And then we also had Captain America and his sidekick Battlestar are trying to catch up to Sam and Bucky. They know that something is amiss, and they're on their tails, but they're doing a pretty not good job at it. They don't have that finesse yet of working with a team and getting their information out there. We also got, we got flag smashers as well. So it was, you would say, a great little reunion of an episode. So let's just dive right in. How did you feel about this, Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.?
Oh, yeah. The show has consistently been great with every single episode. And I think that is, I have to give credit to Kevin Feige and the team, because when they made the decision to only have 6 episodes, there's not a lot of shows that I know that typically only have 6 episodes. Shout out to Luther, which I think had only 3 or 4 episodes.
No, I think it was 3 or 4. It felt like it had to be more than that.
Yeah, well, I know that BBC they made.
Luther! For some reason my brain went to Luke Cage.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, but the BBC has a lot of those shows. It's a lot less. So when you hear it's only 6, you're kind of concerned. And then when I saw the length of the other episodes, it's like, well, this feels like WandaVision, the 45 minutes, 6 minutes of credits. Of course, we have to acknowledge all the people that they have worked with.
You gotta acknowledge them.
But yeah, I very much enjoyed this episode. This episode was actually longer than the last 2 episodes, also, maybe by a few minutes or so. But yeah, the reunion of bringing back Nemo was awesome. I was curious how they were going to use him. And I also questioned the decision to have this character working with Bucky and Falcon, which I was waiting for him to turn on them. Now, I guess that could still happen, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the long-term goal is of what they have planned. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. A lot of great cameo appearances, and definitely would recommend people check it out if they haven't checked it out yet. They definitely should check it out before they listen to this spoiler podcast, I would hope.
Well, yeah. Zemo was so suave this episode. He was in jail and, which I thought they would have to do like some big elaborate plan, kind of like the X-Men when they broke out Magneto.
Hmm.
But this was like so incredibly smooth where it was like, well, what if I just did this? And hypothetically, what would you say if, I slipped a note and it caused a distraction? He just walked right on out,
Hmm.
changed his clothes. And then it's like, hypothetically, what would you do if he was right there? And he's like, hi. And then Falcon is like freaking out. Sam is like, no, that entire time. And you get the elements of them, all three of them bickering,
Hmm.
which I didn't know how much I need. And what was really great, what I love what they did, they brought a side of humor to Zemo, because also we're used to seeing him so serious. Remember, he was a man on a mission. He
Yeah.
was out there to destroy the Avengers from the inside. And one of the things that I really always loved about Zemo, he was one of the best villains who didn't need superpowers. He didn't need a cape. He didn't need all of this big notoriety. He
Hmm.
had a VHS tape, and he managed to destroy the Avengers from within with just a copy of a VHS tape
Yeah.
of showing that death of Tony's father. And he was like, yep, just old good old knowledge and history. So, that's what I kind of loved. And it was kind of like a weird. You could kind of see the development of kind of Zemo and also what they did with Bucky, because these
Hmm.
were both really serious killers, and they were, they had their mission, and now they're kind of lighthearted. And also Zemo's a billionaire, and he flaunted that, so just like so suave. It was just like, oh, you have a private jet? Yes, I am a billionaire. What do you think? So that whole scene was really great. But going back a little bit, with this episode, it kind of opens with fake Captain America, John Walker. Him trying to get answers, and what I love was how he slammed into that room, and he was like, "Do you know who I am?" And the guy was like, "I don't care who you are," and spit in his face. It was like, yes, for the
Yep.
fans. So that was a really great intro of that. Like people are just not buying it. He's not our Captain America, essentially. How did you?
Yeah. I found that funny. I will also add that I do think that that will play into the character's motivations later on, because I kind of feel like he's going to definitely feel like a lot of people don't look at him as Captain America, so that could impact his motives later, and
Yeah.
whether or not he decides to take a dark turn, so on and so forth.
Mm.
Because he figures people don't, they're not going to take me serious, so I need to do something for them to take me serious. So I feel like that was put in there for that reason, because I thought he was going to beat the hell out of that guy after he spit in his face. I thought he was going, but he didn't do that. So
He didn't.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because I think he's going to reach his breaking point at some point in time.
Yeah, because he was like he was flailing around this episode. He just didn't have it, when people are not taking him seriously. And this goes back to kind of wonder, will he take the serum,
Hmm.
and be like, screw it, and just be that version and be darker, like you were saying. So that was a really interesting part also. Um, and so what was really interesting, they ended up doing, like, for me, it kind of felt like a James Bond Mission Impossible thing, where they have to go to, I'm going to mispronounce this name, but Madripoor?
Yeah.
Madripoor? So they had to go to like Madripoor, um, in order to meet Selby. They're trying to get, the jump on the serum and what's really going on, and they end up going to Madripoor. And this was really fun, where you kind of seen like Bucky had to go back to being Winter Soldier mode.
Hmm.
Zemo was just Zemo, and then you had Sam Wilson was White Tiger
Yeah.
was
Hmm.
White was White Tiger, and, I'm gonna assume was like this big time kind of assassin, big boss guy, and you kind of seen like the humor in it. Why he was dressed in these really tight clothes and heels. He couldn't run in the heels. And they're going to this bar, and Zemo was just like, he's partying, he's dancing and letting loose, and he's just happy. It looks like something out of The Great Gatsby, and you see Sharon is there. And what was really interesting, they was playing the theme song to Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
in the club, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I
that's
did notice that. I also was going to say, as it showed them approaching the club and listening to the music that they have also put into that scene, instantly made me think of Black Panther for some reason. The
mm,
visuals and all, and the music, it made me think of, okay, this is taken from the Black Panther movie. Uh, when they went to the club scene as well. So I thought
mhm.
about that for sure. And that's why it was so interesting to get that reveal at the end of the episode about this other character showing up. So, but yeah,
Right.
it was awesome.
So it was really awesome with that. And you did got a bunch of humor with what was it, White Tiger now being forced to drink
Yeah,
his favorite drink, which was like some snake particles in there
yeah,
with a shot, and he's just like swallowing it down. And then you had Bucky having to fight off these guys,
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
go back into that mode. And we kind of had earlier where Zemo was teasing or testing him by reciting those words
Hmm.
that triggers him, and he's like, "No, it's not going to work anymore." So he's like, you have to stay in character. So they're all sitting up there and fighting. And what was really sweet a moment was after that whole fight sequence, Sam went immediately right to Bucky. Are you okay?
Yeah.
So you could see that they care for each other. They hate each other, but they care for each other.
Oh
So it
yeah.
was really sweet.
Coming from a very dark place, it's good for him to ask the question, make sure he's all right. Um,
Mhm.
this is why I do hope that Zemo does not have any other intentions outside of working together, because that would be a very dangerous situation if he was to get in Bucky's head again. And I don't know, but we have to wait and see. But I would hope that that's not going to happen, even though someone else is obviously interested in taking Zemo out. What we do know, as we learn in this episode.
That was so great. Yeah. Mm. That was so great. But yeah, so we kind of deal with that, and also just to backtrack a little bit, it was really interesting how they was on the private plane that he randomly just has because he's a baron. Um, they was talking about how there's kind of like the similarities in the struggle of power,
Hmm.
and how he was kind of drew a line that connected from Red Skull, which we know belongs to Hitler, and how it went to Captain America about how leadership can turn into chaos
Hmm.
very quickly. So he's always kind of teasing that, which kind of makes me wonder what is his alternative motive, his other motive. So that was like something that stuck with me as well. Um, but yeah, so they end up going to, like I said, they were in Mara, Maripur, and they're all dressed up. They did that whole fight scene, and they are trying to meet Selby. They finally meet Selby, where they finally get a name, which is Dr. Wilfred Nagel.
Hmm.
Um, and then, all of a sudden, Sam gets a call, which, she's like, take it, put it on speaker. And it's his sister, Sarah, basically trying to talk about, what happened at the bank. And you
Hmm.
have poor Sam is trying to like play it all up. Yeah, yeah, we money laundered them. I'm gonna come back and kill them. And she's like, what? And then the kids are over at the distance and she's like, whatever, Sam. And she's like, Sam, Selby's like, Sam, what? And then all of a sudden, boop, a bullet comes right through and kills Selby. It doesn't even give her an opportunity to think or anything.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was a nice sequence there, but it was very jarring how they just really didn't care and just killed her off right away.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
And my word of advice for Sam moving forward: if you're going undercover, maybe you should have your phone on silenced or don't have it on at all, because
oh.
something could happen, and then you get in, and then right as soon as she said, "Put it on speaker," I know, okay, this is not going to end well. So
Ah.
that wasn't a good thing, but hey, it is what it is. It happened.
It is what, and what kind of upset at me was like, why is the sister upset about the bank? Like he did everything that he could do.
Yes. Hmm.
He showboated. He did the dance. He did the wings. So no. Um, but what was really interesting, that part was right when she shot. All of a sudden, everyone's phones go off, and there's a bounty on whomever killed her.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
immediately.
immediately. So I'm like, how is this? Is it connected to her heartbeat? What is. I thought that was a bit sudden. Like, I felt like they probably rushed that a little bit. You could have waited, like, I don't know, a good solid minute before she was dead. Like, she dropped. And I think before she even dropped, the text messages went right through.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was a hot mess. But yeah, those were the bounties that came for Selby's killer. But we don't know who shot Shelby because it came right from the window. No one had their guns out. And
Mm.
no, and then again, how did it go down so quickly? And already they're like on the run, and they was being framed for her death. So maybe it was the bartender. Dude, I don't know. Because the only one who would know that he was there for Selby would be the bartender and the guys that they was trying to fight,
Yeah,
you know. So that was just kind of weird. Hopefully it'll make sense and it wasn't just trying to rush everything. But basically they're running for their lives. Sam can't run in those poor heels and them tight pants. It's just a hot mess at this point. And then then we finally get the appearance of Sharon Carter, who's been living there. She randomly happened to be in the bar and living there since, Civil War. So maybe it was Sharon who killed her. So
that
yeah.
that I think that's a possibility. It's definitely somebody I feel following them that is you're going to reveal at some point they have another agenda.
There.
And she is a very good candidate to be that person. Unless it's someone else we don't know about yet, but yeah, I think her as well because of stuff we learn about that character a little bit later in the episode.
Right, and she's also sneaky and a stealth. Remember, she stole Cap's shield, and she
Hmm.
was the one who got them to track down Zemo. Like, basically, she's the main one there.
Yeah.
They would kind of be a hot mess without her. So she's still on the run, which is really interesting, from Civil War.
Hmm.
It's not even in game. Like after the snap, they still looking for her. But okay. So she's hiding out in Hightown. Um, and she's just making do basically at this point. And basically, they have this little joking moment thing. And it was really interesting is that, when they finally get to her hideout, there was a conversation that they have that was like, oh, you must have given the shield back because you know that the whole hero thing is a joke. And it's like, yeah, but so you could see she has some like anger issues and animosity, obviously, and justifiably
Yeah.
towards the Avengers, but she still managed to help them, which is kind of like a little okay. But yeah. Um. Anyway, so she makes a deal. She's like, "Look, I'll help you, but please, you gotta pardon me. Figure something out." Like she's been on a run for years.
Yeah.
This would have easily been what 5 years since Civil War,
Oh yeah. Oh
maybe.
yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. I think it is about 5 exactly.
I don't know if we're including the snap because the snap
Well,
was
that's a
5 years
good
too.
that's a good point. Maybe it's a snap. Um, it's somewhere in the time frame. Yeah.
That poor child. So yeah, so then we get to that, and then we have basically the bounty hunters are everywhere at this point. But we end up finding what was it, Nigel, who was the scientist. They tracked him down at the shipyard where his lab is at, and he's just basically living his best life in his lab. um and he's the one who rebuilt the super serum. So how it went was, remember Isaiah Bradley, the black super soldier,
Hmm.
and everything that he went through, and he was jailed for his heroism because that's how they treat black people when they experiment on them.
Hmm.
So he didn't get the glorious Captain America shine. He instead got. They said they kept taking his blood. They threw him in jail. I'm gonna easily assume they tortured him from both sides, Hydra and America. And during that time, when they was taking his blood, they basically Henrietta Laxed him, which is when they used the blood sample to kind of single out the serum, and they pulled that out to extract it and to be basically replicate it, rebuild it again, so that now we have the Flag Smashers running around with Carly, who's the girl who, by the way, a woman leading the team, yay. But the girls running around, trying to kill people and whatnot, believing in one world, one nation.
Hmm.
So that's how that happened. So they took his blood, was able to replicate it, remake the serum, and Henrietta Lacks at the end of the day. And if you don't know Henrietta Lacks, she was a black woman who was treated for, I think it was cancer, and they experimented on her without her knowing, and they was able to come up with different kind of vaccines and different uh they basically, it's like different vaccines that they are able to use.
Mm.
So from her blood and the cancer. And then there's like the thing where like they actually may have given her cancer, but that's a whole nother story that we don't need to discuss right now. But after that whole thing with the serum, he said he made 20 vials and there could be a lot of super soldiers. So remember, they thought that it was just 7 of them.
Hmm.
It could be up to 20. It could be more. They could replicate it. You could have a whole army. Basically the goal is to build an army. And we know that Carly kind of was stealing things from the power broker. And the power broker is the guy that Nigel works for.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's how it all tunes in. And then we had a scientist who worked for the power broker over at Jessica Jones. Remember, over there they had different serums and things they was injecting into themselves.
Hmm.
The guy who's running down the street really crazy and like really quickly. I think it was season 2. That's how things are slowly connecting.
Mm. Yeah.
Ah. So, yeah. So then, basically the bounty hunters, Sharon has to take care of the bounty hunters. So she's like laying out everyone, and she's just really great at it. I thought this was really great action. They're keeping up with the quality really
Hmm.
well. Not sure how you felt about that, but that quality, it's crisp. Fight
Oh yeah.
scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. Plenty of action. A lot of gunplay in this episode.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they've done a fantastic job with as far as the action is concerned. Even when you go back to the fight scenes that they had in the club, that was also very well done.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it really pulls you deeper into the story. And of course, you was very concerned as she was taking down these guys, if anybody was gonna wound her or anything like that. And no, she pretty much beat all them down, which is good. So, yeah.
Right. So she's beating down everybody, and then all of a sudden there's the rocket launcher that comes through, which is like, oh shoot. So that escalates, everything even more, and everyone happens to escape. I think the scientist he's gone. He's Chris by now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So they got that, and then Sharon and everybody else, they're all fighting. Um, and we realize that they're trying to flee, but Sharon can't go because Mirnapore is the only place where they don't extradite you. So she's like, I can't leave, but she's kind of weary about that because it's not just that. She keeps also saying that she has a big problem, and that she mentions that someone is after her old. Basically, it seems like she has to stay there for a reason, and it's not just because of extradition. Like she's gotten herself into trouble that she's working for.
Hmm.
So we don't know if she's working for a power broker. We don't know who she's working for. So it just it's a mess of things that she's gotten herself into that we hopefully will learn later on. So yeah, and then I'm making sure that this is I from what I believe. After that, um, basically Carly and her group of flag smashers, instead of just I guess robbing people like they did before previously, they're now killing people.
Hmm.
And she's trying to stay ahead of the power broker. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she's like gotten really deadly now. And the guy that she's traveling with is like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
are we
yeah,
doing this? He was confused,
yeah.
right?
He was very surprised. Yeah, this is natural evolution of the characters. They get more desperate, do more dangerous things. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So then also we end up going back to Latvia. I think it's Latvia. I might be pronouncing these words wrong, but they end up going back to Latvia, and was the big oh my gosh scene. This is when all three of them, they're walking, they're about to go walk into a building, and all of a sudden Bucky's like, wait, hold on, I'm going to go for a walk. And they're like, a walk? Where's he walking to? And he follows these, what was it? These like silver balls that's like making noise.
Mm-hmm.
And he picks them up, and he's like, and then all of a sudden we see Ao.
Yes.
And Ao, we all know, is from Wakanda, Black Panther, and she is the one who's like really upset about Zemo because Zemo killed T'Challa and framed Bucky for it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's
Mm-hmm.
like ready to kill. And then it ends just like that, and I'm upset. I'm so upset.
Yeah. They want you to return next week, and there will probably be an ending to that episode, which will also be a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically, yeah. And I know that she's from Ao is from the Special Forces team. So remember when they had to do that mission with Black Panther
Yeah.
and that club? That's probably why you said it reminded you of Black Panther. They
That's
did the club
exactly
scene.
why. Yep, that's exactly why.
She's
It had the same vibe of that type of scene, even down to the music selection. So yeah, that's exactly what I thought of.
mhm. So that was kind of, it was short, but it was still cool. There were a lot of different elements, at play. And I think that one of the really things that I loved was when they was on the plane. There was a scene where, we discovered that the notebook that Bucky's been writing in with his list of names is Steve's notebook.
Mm-hmm.
So while Steve gave Sam the shield, he gave Bucky his notebook,
Mm.
which I think is to say, I love you. You're not ready. You have to work on the issues that you're going through
Yeah.
because you've been through a lot. So here's the notebook and how it helped me. And I thought it was like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then like they have that conversation where Zemo and Sam basically bond over what was it? Was it Sam Cooke or was it Marvin Gaye? It was Trouble Man. Whoever did Trouble Man.
Yeah, that's Marvin Gaye.
It was so Marvin Gaye. They bonded over Marvin Gaye, and Bucky was like, "No, I like '40s music." And Zemo and Sam was just like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good, cute episode. The action was still there.
Yeah, the action was there. You had the comedy. You had the unexpected team up with Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when I saw this character was returning, my initial thought is this guy going to be the villain? So to see that he is not, at least for right now, he's not the adversary, it's a very good dynamic, but it definitely makes me interested to see who the actual villain is. And I'm guessing we're going to get our answers. Because
Right.
there has to be obviously someone in charge of this group of
Yeah.
the soldiers running around. So I'm curious to see who that actually is.
It has to be Power Man because Dr. Nigel, he was behind the new super serums.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in the red, white, and black comic, Nigel is a scientist who works for Project Rebirth, which is the same team that created Captain America. However, he picked up the work. What happened was, okay, I think it's Escrine. I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sure. But he created the super soldier serum that was used for the black test subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more than just Isaiah. It was a bunch of black people. Again, Tuskegee experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So he used it for the black ones, and from there, whomever lived or died, that's how he was able to tweak it. And when he got it just right, so I'm going to assume Isaiah Bradley was the one that got it just right. Then he went years later, and that's how it worked. I might be in the wrong order, but we all know that it was tested on black people before it became to Steve Rogers.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Mm-hmm. And also remember Dr. Eskren. was, which I'm sure again I'm pronouncing wrong, was played by Stanley Tucci in the first
Mm.
Avenger, the man who created Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So
make a
yeah.
lot of sense. Absolutely.
hmm So that was basically the episode. It was a fun episode. You learned a lot. I wasn't like ready to like start screaming and yelling.
Uh-oh, oh, uh-oh.
But that ending, like
Yeah, but the ending.
the ending though, like what does it mean? I
Oh,
mean, we all know
because
what it means. It's just,
oh
you
yeah,
know.
well, this is how they are guaranteeing that people will want to come back to see what happens next. I know
hmm
WandaVision had a couple of those endings where at the end of the episode it's the cliffhanger, like, oh well, what's next? So this is the same formula, but
hmm
yeah, again a very well done episode. I mean, the whole season has been great so far. So I'm curious to see where the story is going to go next. Um, the action is all again. They've been very consistent with the action.
hmm
So yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to up the ante as we get closer to the finale. And of course, I cannot wait for the inevitable showdown between Captain America and Falcon and Bucky, because it is going to come. When he already warned them and said, "Do not cross paths with me." So it is going to happen at some point in time.
It will. I just love that guy who just spit in his face. Is like, I don't care who you are, bitch. Guy is really just going through it because, like the previous episode, remember they had that big celebration for him.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
guy's like, I don't care. So yeah, and also really interesting to connect with Ao.
hmm
Remember when she says, "I'm here for Zemo," and we
Yeah.
all know why she's there for Zemo. But I wonder if this, how I was saying, Marvel in Phase 4 right now with all their TV shows, they're doing sprinklers for all their future projects. Like
hmm
right now, we all know who the Young Avengers are going to be. Like they're sprinkling on it.
hmm
When we was able to
hmm
see that kid, Elijah, and so we know what's going on in the future. We do know that we're getting a Wakanda TV series for Disney Plus.
Yes. Yes. Next year.
That Ryan Coogler. Hopefully, everything how it goes, but we don't know what it's about. We do know it's going to be about the different tales and stories of Wakanda, and it's not going to just focus on one tribe. So I'm wondering if this is a sprinkle of how you have that back door to Wakanda and that series. So it
I
sets up the groundwork.
I think that's a very, very good point, and I do believe that that's exactly what it is. Because anytime they do something, there is some intention behind it. Most of the time, not every time. I'm looking at Mr. Mr. Evan Peters right now. Most of the time, it is going to lead to something else. So yeah, I do believe that I do believe that's connected, and I'm curious to see what the connection actually will end up being.
hmm And also, Zemo was really eager to help them. It was like to the point where he was like waiting on them.
hmm
So I don't know if he has some other like I said, ulterior motives.
Yep,
And he got out of jail really quick. He just slipped right out of jail. And why they didn't put him in some kind of maximum security, I don't know.
that's a good question.
Like that was really. And then he has a whole bunch of private jets and cars that's just laying out in the open. So it's just really weird. But I like the trio that they did there. Um, they did that really good. And those who don't know who Smiling Tiger is, it's an actual character called Conrad Mack, and he's a mute Marvel character who's known to have claws on his fingers and toes. And he was a part of the superhuman group known as the Folding Circle in Vietnam.
Mm, mm, wow.
So that was a real character that he was playing. So I don't know. Maybe it might be funny if he actually meets the real one, Smiling Tiger. Yeah, it was Smiling Tiger, not White Tiger.
Yeah, it's
So
possible.
it's possible. So I thought that this was really interesting. You kind of seen the dynamic of those three. Zemo, you can't trust because at any moment he's trying to get into Bucky's head,
hmm
and Sam is like the protector of Bucky, which was really adorable.
Oh
So,
yeah,
hmm
I'm very curious to see whether or not that was a wise decision to work with him, and I think we're going to start to get some answers.
I
Because I mean, I thought in this episode when they had the scene where they was interrogating the scientists, and you see that Zemo is about to pull out a gun, I thought at that point, oh, so he's going to turn on them right now, right? And then that didn't happen. So that's why I was like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
It,
see. And then we also, yep.
oh no, I was going to say, yeah, someone's probably coming, but no, continue.
And no, and then we have to also find out what, Carly's on the run. She's scared as well.
Yes.
When you start killing people, that's not because you're in a happy mood, unless you're like a psychopath, and I don't see her doing that. I just see her like genuinely being scared, you
Yeah,
know.
I
So
agree.
and then yeah, also I think it was her mother who has tuberculosis as well,
Hmm.
and they showed how they're trying to. Her mother, I think it's her mother. I'm not sure, but she was trying to help someone named Donia Maddie or Madani. I don't know, but she has tuberculosis, and that came from overpopulations in displaced camps. And we know that Donya was the mentor to Carly, and she ends up
Mm.
dying. And that Donya, she said that Carly wanted to be a teacher before she ended up becoming injected with the serum because she had to go and fight for her people and what was
Wow.
going on. So there's a lot of different layers that is going on, and Carly's kind of main purpose that we know of right now is to give the serum to kids in the camp. But she also says, but the power broker is going to come begging for the medicine.
Hmm.
So she is in that battle between the power broker and also wanting to help kids who also displaced and face other diseases and other things that was going on as well. Remember, those were supposed to be the people of the forgotten. So
Yeah.
while as we opened up with the so what was it, GCR or GRC commercial,
Hmm.
and we saw how they was like, welcome back. We have everything waiting for you. But it's like, yeah, but look at these kids who've been here for the last 5 years. You just throwing them in camps. I think they talked about people who were being. Remember, she was evicted when everyone came back. They were evicted.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah. Hmm.
So I don't know if that means like the people who finally got homes now because of those who disappeared. They took, they was able to live in their home, and then when they came back, they was just kicked out or moved off the lands. I'm not sure how that works, but you kind of understand where she's coming at. So it was a show I felt that really just that really explained where everyone's motives is.
Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure that that will circle back later to when certain characters make certain decisions that will make people go back and watch later. Oh, I didn't pick up on that in previous episode, or and then they'll understand why was this is what the context was as to why that character has now made this decision moving forward.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, any final words? Any final thoughts? Any other thing that you want to say about this wonderful episode?
Yeah, I want to tell people if you haven't been watching the show, definitely check it out. Uh, Fantastic show so far. Hard to believe there's only 3 episodes left, um, but it is 100% worth watching. And I'm going to mention this. I know this isn't in any way related to this show. I'm going to say it. If you like watching hero shows, you need to watch Invincible, Amazon. Yeah, I messed up the name. What am I doing here? Yeah, and
I like that
Invincible.
invisible.
Yes, Invincible, awesome show. Watch that also. But yeah, this is a great show so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So that's basically the show. It was like they gave you a lot, but they kept it short at the same time.
Hmm.
It was very focused. You had everything that you had, and so I really liked it. We'll see what the next episode brings. Uh, so thank you for listening to us. Once again, I am the entertainment editor over at the Koalition. You can check out more interviews, more podcasts on our YouTube channel, interviews over at thecoalition.com. Thank you for joining us. Anything you would like to plug, Mr. Bailey?
Oh no, yeah, I would definitely encourage people to check out. You can definitely watch our other episodes of this particular podcast. We will be back for episode 4 next week.
Mhm.
Check out if you're into Snowfall. Gary and I also recorded a new Snowfall, so definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just stay tuned. We have a lot of other things we're going to be covering in the future. So definitely stay safe and stay tuned. We appreciate all your continued support.
Absolutely. So have a great day, evening, night, whatever time period you're listening to us. Thank you once again, and see you next week.